Welcome to the Myco-Consortium Association of Washington, D.C. I'm just gonna pause here for a minute and let everyone get in from the waiting room, and then we will get going. But we are very happy to have you here all here tonight. My name is Elizabeth Hargrave. I'm the president of the Myco-Consortium Association of Washington, D.C. I'm going to spend a few minutes at the beginning of the meeting going over a little bit of club news. I've got some general fungi in the news items that I think you'll think are fun, illustrated with completely unrelated photos from folks who have posted stuff up on iNaturalist, who are members of the project that MAW has on iNaturalist. So if you are an iNat user and a member of MAW, go check that out, and maybe I'll use your photos in some future presentation. Hopefully after I finish up, we will have William Miller up and running to do a little presentation on tardigrades. And then Mitch Fournet, as always, will do a virtual ID table with the photos that people have been sending in of the mushrooms that they've found in the last month. And then finally, our feature presentation, we're going to try and start by 8, will be the wonderful Suzanne Simard about her book and her work with mycorrhizal fungi, and her book called Finding the Mother Tree. So just a few club news items. We just had our first board meeting of the year last week, where we passed a budget and the rules for 2022. Those of you who are members should have gotten an email asking you to vote on those rules and sort of the total spending amount for the year. So thank you to the over 100 of you who have done that so far. It's going great. And I appreciate you taking the time to take a look at those materials, and the folks who caught my typos, thank you. I've updated the document online. The sort of high level report from that email is that we have over 850 members now in MAWDC, up from about 550 at the beginning of the year, I believe. So that is exciting and fun to see. We've got a budget surplus in part because so many more people have been joining. And so this year we had budgeted to expand some of our offerings, doing culinary stuff and cultivating mushrooms, doing some cultivation workshops. So stay tuned for more on that in the next couple months from April Thompson, who's our new culinary chair. I have her email address here if you're interested in getting involved in helping plan stuff along those lines. We also have added a bunch of money to the budget, about $4,000, to buy equipment and supplies to start doing more of the DNA analysis process ourselves in-house, instead of sending out samples to labs to do them. There's still a little piece that we have to send off in the end to do the final analysis, but stay tuned. We may be up and running to have some workshops on that later this year, and we'll certainly have people talk about that to a future meeting in terms of what the more specific plans are. And we upped the amount also that we want to give out in scholarships this year. That's a program that just got off the ground toward the end of last year. We got our first scholarship out to a graduate student, Django Grootmeyers, and we also have funding available for K through 12 teachers who want to grow mushrooms in the classroom. And for our weekend event, Sequinoto, we'll have some scholarships available for that as well. So stay tuned on those as well. If you want to get involved in any of these projects, the email addresses are there. Please reach out. This is an entirely volunteer-led effort, and we are always looking for people who want to help out. Our next couple of monthly meetings are here. In March, we're going to have Eleanor Shavitz talking about fungi that have been found in amber and copal, and Tom McCoy about orchids, which have a very interesting relationship with fungi. In April, we'll have Jacob Kalichman talk about mushroom macromorphology, which I believe has to do with the shape of mushrooms, reading my Latin roots there. And Megan Romberg is going to talk about an ancient Roman ritual called Robigalia and what that has to do with fungi. We do not have plans for in-person monthly meetings yet. I got a couple of emails back in reply to my budget asking what the plan was. The board's still thinking about it. We may send out a survey to members at some point if things keep going in the right direction with COVID, to figure out what people even want to do, because we've also gotten feedback that a lot of people are perfectly happy not to be in rush hour traffic on a Tuesday night going to Kensington. So we need to figure out what our plan is with monthly meetings, but we do definitely want to do more in-person events this year, maybe just not the monthly meetings. So maybe more things on weekends. We're going to get forays going once mushrooms are out and about, and even probably something in the next couple of weeks on lichens and on tree ID here in the winter. And then, maybe we'll do some more, put a bunch of mushrooms on a table and ID them, maybe have a picnic along with it, those sorts of things. And also, like I said, more culinary and cultivation events as well. So we'll all have chances to see each other in person at some point. Again, super helpful. If you want to help organize, let us know. And for those, forays, go to Mitch at forays@mawdc.org. Anything in general, if you're not sure who to email, you can always reach me at info@mawdc.org or president@mawdc.org. We are tentatively joining another organization called the Northeast Myco-Consortium, still working out the details on this. But there are about 13 mushroom clubs that share Friday night speakers on Zoom. And I think we're going to buy into this so that you all can have the links to those presentations as well. The tentative first speaker, maybe February 11th, still to be confirmed, but looking at careers that put the fun in fungi. So we thought that would be fun to share with MAW members as well. Some of the other things on our calendar for the year, just to get on your calendar, at the end of April, beginning of May, iNaturalist has an event called the City Nature Challenge, where they try and get people to go out and make lots of observations all in one weekend. Annie Weitzman and Isabella Farr, our two biggest iNaturalist users in the club, are going to be putting things together for that. In June, the Folklife Festival has actually approached MAW about possibly participating in one of the tracks that they're calling Earth Optimism. So, usually they have the different country tracks within the Folklife Festival, and Earth Optimism would take the place of one of those country tracks. And they think fungi is a cool thing, like with mycorrhizal relationships and mycoremediation, and who knows what else could be part of that Earth Optimism. So we're in the very early stages of talking to them about that. The date for our Siponota foray, which is our weekend retreat up in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania, is going to be Labor Day, September 2nd through 5th. And then the big North American foray for the North American Mycological Association is at the end of September out in Missouri. So if you're curious about that, get that date on your calendar too. I have a few pieces of fungi in the news. I thought this one would be of interest to folks, especially who live in Virginia. There is a bill in the Virginia Senate right now to decriminalize psychedelic mushrooms. There was a story on the local Richmond news about it a couple weeks ago now, I guess. Who knows what the chances of it are of actually making it through, but I thought is interesting that someone's trying to, I think it is still a crime to possess, but the penalties would be greatly, greatly reduced by this bill. But maybe even more important for sort of the future of what might happen with psychedelics and mushrooms. NIH actually just had a 2-day conference on psychedelics as therapeutics with topics like how do we actually design clinical trials that would result in things getting approved as medicines and covered by insurance companies. I have not seen them post any of the presentations online yet. If you're on Twitter, this guy I have down in the corner, Eduardo Schenberg, did a whole live tweet of the conference and put a bunch of slides up online. So you can find some of the stuff that was covered that way. And I know John Harper, our programs chair, tuned into some of the conference. So he's thinking about whether there's anyone we could bring in as a speaker for MAW in the future.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
They are supposed to post it. I checked a few days ago. It wasn't up yet.
Yeah, great, great. So that could be super interesting. But just as someone who used to do health policy, this is a big deal for NIH to be taking it seriously enough to schedule this conference. Another little piece of fungi in the news that caught my eye, Mercedes just had a prototype vehicle for a new electric vehicle that they may put out. And the seats were made of mushroom leather by this company, Bolt Technology. And then another mushroom leather company, Myco-Works, just got a big round of venture funding that made it into the news. And these are not even the only 2 companies that are making mushroom-based leather. They just are the ones that popped into the news this month. But I thought this was kind of fun. Totally different kind of fungi in the news. This is a more typical one, but also interesting. Some scientists in Europe have taken Trichoderma ricei, which is basically a mold of filamentous fungi and fungus, and genetically modified it so that it makes ovalbumin, which is the protein that's in egg whites. And they estimate that this would be far environmentally superior if a lot of this protein were produced by fungi instead of raising chickens to do it. So stay tuned for other weird fungus-based foods possibly someday. And then the last thing is just fun. Katy Perry was on Saturday Night Live on Saturday, and her entire set was Amanita muscaria.
Put it on our video. I'm glad you found it.
Amanita muscaria seems to be having a pop culture moment. My friend's 13-year-old has little earrings and a necklace that she's wearing all the time. I do not feel like I am totally up on what the hottest trends are, but this seems to be one of them. So I thought that was fun.